Picture this. New York City, but something's missing. Yeah, no Brooklyn Bridge. Can you even imagine? What would that skyline even look like? The whole city would feel so different.
It's kind of wild to think about, isn't it? Such a crucial part of the cityscape.
Exactly. And today we're diving deep into the story behind that bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a story full of drama, I gotta say. And it all comes down to like this one crazy what if moment. What if back in 1869, a ferry hadn't crushed the foot of John Roebling, the guy who designed the bridge?
That's a great point. I mean, that one kind of random event could have completely derailed the whole project. I think
Yeah.
it really speaks to how determined these people were to actually get it built.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's rewind. We're going back to the mid-1800s. America, boom, it's in the middle of this huge industrial boom, and we meet John Roebling, this German-American engineer.
Mhm.
Not just some farmer, no, this guy is a visionary, right? And we're basing all this on a History Daily podcast episode we found.
Yeah.
Anyway, Roebling, he's not content with things as they are. He wants to, like, revolutionize construction. And his big idea, wire rope.
And he really believed in this wire rope, too. Thought it was way stronger, way more reliable than the hemp ropes everyone was using back then.
Right. And he's already, like, dreaming big, thinking about bridges spanning huge rivers, all thanks to his wire rope.
And the thing is, he wasn't just, sitting around theorizing. This guy was out there on his farm in Pennsylvania. I mean,
Yeah.
meticulously testing this wire rope, pushing it to its limits. Obsessed is probably the right word.
He was driven, totally. And it paid off, didn't it? He ends up beating out his rival, Charles Ellet Jr., to design the first railway suspension bridge. And not just any bridge. This one was over Niagara Falls.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, Ellet, he was like the more charismatic, the flashy engineer. But Roebling, he had that meticulous approach, the focus on testing, calculations. And in the end, that won out.
So he gets the contract for this bridge over Niagara Falls. At the time, people thought it was impossible, this crazy feat of engineering.
And Roebling, he never wavered. Total faith in those calculations of his, in his wire rope. He knew he could do it.
And when the bridge was finally finished, it was a total symbol of his ingenuity, this amazing two-level structure, these massive limestone towers, this like cage of metal trusses. It showed everyone what this new technology could do.
Oh, and that cage you mentioned, that was a major innovation. Instead of using the usual vertical and diagonal trusses, Roebling, he used this system of diagonal stays, like radiating out from the towers, created this super strong, super stable structure.
It sounds almost like a work of art, not just a bridge.
That's something that really set Roebling apart. He wasn't just building like functional stuff. He had this artistic side, an eye for the aesthetics of it, understood the power a bridge had to, like, inspire awe.
So after his success with Niagara Falls, Roebling's thinking even bigger. He sets his sights on, the Brooklyn Bridge.
We got to remember, back then, Brooklyn and Manhattan, they were separate cities. The only way to get between them was by ferry. And Roebling, he's got this vision. He wants to build a bridge that doesn't just solve a transportation problem, but also symbolizes unity, progress.
He wanted to build something majestic, something that would really stand as a testament to what humans could achieve. He even imagined a promenade on the bridge for people to just stroll across, enjoy the view. That wasn't common at all back then.
And that's such an important point. Roebling wasn't just thinking about function. He was thinking about the human experience, how people would use this bridge, interact with it. He wanted it to be a place where people could connect, be inspired.
And then, right as the project is starting to get going, boom, tragedy strikes. A runaway ferry crushes Roebling's foot. It leads to amputation. And so sad, he dies from tetanus.
I know, right? Heartbreaking. This visionary, this guy who had dedicated his life to, like, pushing the boundaries of engineering, just suddenly gone. And the fate of his biggest project just hanging in the balance.
It feels like the story should end right there, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. And that's where John Roebling's son comes in, Washington Roebling. He was determined to carry on his father's legacy. Talk about pressure. Imagine stepping into your dad's shoes on a project like this. Wow, that's a lot to handle.
It's like straight out of Shakespeare or something. This son grappling with his father's legacy, grief, ambition, it's all there. But Washington Roebling, he wasn't just some, grieving son. He was brilliant in his own right. He'd worked with his father on a bunch of projects already, like the Niagara Falls Bridge even.
And he jumps right in, head first. Takes on the role of chief engineer for the Brooklyn Bridge. And right away, there's this huge problem. How do you even build these massive towers for the bridge? They needed to be anchored way down, deep beneath the East River.
I'm trying to picture this. You've got this constantly flowing river. How do you build these huge towers in the middle of that. Doesn't seem possible.
Well, that's where Washington Roebling really shines. He comes up with this idea to use caissons. Basically, these giant wooden boxes. They sink them to the riverbed, and then they fill them with compressed air, keeps the water out. It was a risky move, really innovative for the time.
It sounds super dangerous.
It was. The workers, they would go down into these caissons, spend hours down there, dark, cramped, under all this pressure, just digging away at the riverbed. And this is where another problem pops up, a big one. They called it the bends.
The bends. What's that?
Decompression sickness, basically. Back then, they didn't really understand the dangers of coming up too fast from those pressurized caissons. If you came up too quick, nitrogen bubbles would form in your blood. Excruciating pain, paralysis, could even be fatal.
Wow. So this wasn't just some engineering challenge. It was a battle against, like, the limits of what the human body could take.
Exactly. And Washington Roebling, he actually becomes a victim of the bends himself, has a few attacks, ends up partially paralyzed, chronic pain, his vision and hearing were messed up.
So, wow, okay. We've got the visionary behind the bridge gone, and now his son, who stepped in, he's been hit by this horrible illness. I mean, it's got to be it, right? The project's done.
You'd think so, right? But, well, this is where the story gets even more interesting. And we meet this a person who's often kind of forgotten in the history books, Emily Warren Roebling, Washington's wife.
Now, this is where it gets good. Tell me about Emily.
So Emily, she wasn't just, sitting at home while her husband was working. She was educated, really interested in engineering herself. And when Washington gets sick, she decides she's got to learn everything about this bridge project.
Wait, so she's not just, like, taking care of him. She's getting involved in the actual construction.
Oh, way more than that. She becomes basically Washington's eyes and ears on the project. She's going to the site every day, bringing back information to him, talking over plans, even making decisions for him.
That's amazing. But I bet it wasn't easy. I mean, this is the 1800s, right? A woman on a construction site, there must have been pushback.
Tons. She had to fight to be taken seriously, earn the respect of these engineers and workers, but she did. Through her knowledge, her dedication, and she never lost faith in the project, not for a second.
So Emily, she was like the unsung hero of the whole Brooklyn Bridge project.
You could say that. Without her, who knows, maybe the bridge would never have been finished. She was crucial, not just to overseeing the construction, but also keeping the whole project alive, especially during those tough years when Washington was sick.
It's a story that goes way beyond engineering, you know what I mean? It's about human resilience, overcoming adversity, working together.
Absolutely. It makes you realize how many unsung heroes are out there. People working behind the scenes, overcoming obstacles we don't even know about.
And in Emily's case, her contributions, I mean, they were extraordinary. She broke all the rules, stepped into a role that, for women at the time, was completely unheard of.
And she did it with grace, intelligence, total determination. She wanted to see her husband's vision and her father-in-law's dream actually become real.
It makes you think about, how many other stories like Emily's are out there, just waiting to be discovered, lost in the footnotes of history.
That's the thing about digging deeper, going past the surface. You find these incredible stories of courage, creativity, people who never gave up.
So after all the struggle, the tragedy, the triumphs, the Brooklyn Bridge, it finally opens. May 24th, 1883.
And who do you think is the first person to cross it?
Emily.
Gotta be.
You got it. Emily Roebling, carrying a rooster, no less? A symbol of victory. She leads the procession across the bridge. It's like the culmination of all those years of hard work, sacrifice, belief.
I bet that was a powerful moment. This woman, who played such a crucial role, stepping into the spotlight, finally getting the recognition she deserved.
That moment, it really sums up the whole story of the Brooklyn Bridge. The vision, the struggles, the triumph. It's about the power of the human spirit.
The bridge became an instant icon, not just for New York City, but for all of America. And it's clear now it's much more than just a bridge. It's a testament to human ambition, perseverance. It's about working together, even when you face, impossible challenges.
And it's a story that even today it still resonates, reminds us that even when things seem impossible, we could achieve amazing things when we work together, support each other, when we dream big. And you got to think about the lasting impact. This bridge, it changed New York City, connected these two bustling boroughs, really paved the way for the city to keep growing.
But it goes beyond just the physical connection. This bridge, it captured everyone's imagination. It became the symbol of American ingenuity, that can-do spirit of the industrial age.
Yeah, it's like this perfect representation of that era. The drive to push boundaries, to achieve the impossible, and people are still inspired by it today.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. They built this incredible structure using 1800s tech. No computers, no fancy materials, just pure brain power, meticulous calculations, hand-drawn blueprints, and a whole lot of grit.
It really puts things in perspective, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have 3D modeling, powerful cranes. It was all about using their minds, their hands, and of course, teamwork. Tons of teamwork.
And that's another huge takeaway from this story. That collaboration, it's essential. The Brooklyn Bridge, it wasn't the work of just one genius. It was countless people all working together, every single one of them contributing their skills, their expertise.
From the engineers to the workers risking their lives in those caissons, to Emily Roebling, who held the whole thing together when it seemed like it was falling apart.
It reminds you that even the most ambitious projects, the ones that seem impossible, they all come down to human effort, to people working together.
So next time you see a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge, or even better, if
Yeah.
you ever get the chance to walk across it, take a second to remember the human drama behind it. John Roebling's vision, Washington's perseverance, Emily's strength.
And all those other people who work so hard, often in dangerous conditions, to make that dream a reality.
It's a story that should inspire us all, to face our own challenges, to believe in the power of working together, and to never give up on our dreams.
And it shows us how important those unsung heroes are, people like Emily Roebling. She challenged the norms, proved that with brilliance and determination, you can overcome anything.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the story behind the Brooklyn Bridge. Hope you enjoyed it.
And I hope it makes you want to, look a little deeper, explore those hidden stories behind the things we see every day.
Because history, it's not just dates and names. It's human stories. Stories of ambition, struggles, victories. And those stories, they still resonate with us today.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to tackle your own impossible challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
if the Roeblings could build the Brooklyn Bridge back in the 1800s, just imagine what we can do today with all the tools and knowledge we have.
That's a great point. So join us next time for another deep dive into the past. And until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep those minds engaged.